Hey, Jarek here, and this came out of nowhere. I saw it pop up on some Chinese shops about a month or so ago, and I just had to try it. I really like how this thing looks. I have a big soft spot for weird, wonky bullpups, and this almost looks like a PDR if it used a pistol caliber, and I'm totally down with that. Depending on where you go, this thing will run you about $100. I'll put a link down below in the video information, and for $100, the external quality is really good. This is all very solid ABS plastic. It's equivalent to that of, say, like a mid-range AEG and Airsoft, but I am sold with the external quality of this. They've even covered up all the screw holes with little plastic bits so that you don't ruin the look of the gun. It doesn't come with this red dot, by the way. I threw that on there. It comes with one big long rail, but no optic. But yeah, externally, this thing is very, very solid. There's even some ports up the top here, because this is a 3-stage flywheeler, and this is where the flywheels are, which is really clever, because that just looks like part of the gun. Like, that's just part of the aesthetic of this blaster. Actual controls are super simple. It doesn't have a flywheel trigger. It's just an all-in-one trigger. It has a safety. It's a push-pin safety. That is now off safe, and that's on safe. When it's on safe, you can still rev the flywheels, but you can't activate the pusher, so it's not going to shoot anyway. Magazine release is sort of like an AK-style mag release, and this magazine is one of the complaints I have. This is not compatible with Talon mags. Don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It's because these are slightly smaller than Talon mags in dimensions, and they wanted to keep the form factor of this blaster, because it's really thin. I don't think I've seen a flywheeler this thin before. But still, I would like to use my Talon mags. These mags aren't necessarily bad, but they are 10-round magazines. You can technically fit a few more in here, but I wouldn't recommend it. See, the return spring for the pusher is somewhat weak, so if you load this with more than 10, there will be so much pressure on the return spring that it'll get stuck until you take the magazine out. So only load 10. If you load 10, you won't have that problem. That's how much it's supposed to hold anyway. I will say I do like how these magazines look. I like how they have little details on them. It says PDW-45. And they're pretty solid. They're definitely solid plastic, just like the rest of this gun. The battery compartment is in the back. Another complaint I have, requires 2 Allen screws to get it out. I hate it when companies do this. Stop making me unscrew things to get to my battery compartment, especially if there's a LiPo in there. Just put like a latch. Just let me do it without tools. Okay, and here we go. The battery compartment is actually pretty spacious. Let me get this battery out of here so I can show you. Okay, so this battery, oh geez, I need a light. A phone will do. Battery compartment is pretty spacious. There's a lot of room underneath the motor, but one complaint I do have is that there's no plastic blocking the top of the motor. So if you have your battery laying, say, because there's space underneath and then space in the back. If your battery is like that, which thicker batteries are going to have to be like this, it might lay right on the motor. I don't like that. The motor could be getting hot. Your battery might be getting hot. That's a bit of a fire hazard. But I would recommend getting a narrower battery, which you can see how thick this one is. This one has to lay in the back like this. Most of them won't have to. Most of them can go underneath, and there's plastic in between there. So not too much of a complaint, but definitely something you need to look out for. Oh, also, it's an XT30 connection, not an XT60, so keep that in mind. I don't know why Chinese companies like XT30 so much. I've seen Worker do it. This company, I don't know who makes this gun, by the way. Like I said, it just kind of popped up on some websites. I would like to know who makes it. A lot of the stuff inside of it actually kind of seems like Worker stuff, so I feel like it might be attached to Worker in one way or another. I don't really know the specifics. Again, all I know is the name is PDW-45. That's all any of these websites are advertising this gun as. And while I'm talking about the motor, something else I realized is that they went real ghetto with some of the wiring stuff. By some, I really just mean inside of the mag well. I'll just record this on my phone. Yeah, they literally just used electrical tape and taped the wires to the side of the mag well so that the magazine wouldn't hit it. That is a temporary solution. That is not a permanent solution. Eventually that tape's gonna wear out, and that's gonna be a big problem. So yeah, be aware of that if you end up buying this. You may wanna find a better way to keep those wires to the side of the gun. As for performance, something odd I noticed is that I have 3 types of darts here. I have Worker Gen 3s, I have Adventure Force Pros, and I have Worker Waffle Head darts. Obviously all half-length darts, because that's what this uses. I have noticed that the Worker Gen 3s and the Adventure Force Pros don't work very well in this. They don't jam, they do shoot, but they'll kind of shoot in random directions, like this gun just doesn't seem to like it. However, the waffle heads work perfectly fine. It's almost like this was made for waffle heads, and it's not a coincidence that it comes with like 10 waffle heads per magazine that you buy. So yeah, if you want to use this, use the waffle heads, buy some more waffle heads. Also buy a couple of extra magazines. Thankfully, you can buy extra magazines. You will need to since you can't use Talon mags. And these are only 10-round mags. Although, the rate of fire of this gun is not too high, so reloading isn't too much of a concern. In fact, I kind of wish the rate of fire was a little bit faster. It's not terrible, but it's definitely below average. Oh, and this thing can take a 3S LiPo battery. I'm running an 11.1 volt 3S in here, so no worry about that. This is actually the battery they recommended. I have other batteries that work in this perfectly fine, but I didn't know what they wanted you to use as a battery, and there was like no information, so I said, screw it, I'll just take one of their batteries and see what they're throwing at me for what I should be putting in this gun. So yeah, upsides, extremely good externals, very good build, looks really cool, is pretty comfortable. It's almost too small with how small this is. I imagine this would be really good for some up-close game. If you want to do that, you can go into CQB with this. Again, it's almost too small. Like, I can't quite fit all my fingers around this foregrip. I definitely can't get my thumb in here, although I feel you're not supposed to be doing that. It's not too small. I'm just shy of 6 foot, but my arms are pretty long and my hands are slightly larger than average. So for me, it's still fine. There's nothing here that's really uncomfortable. In fact, this is a very comfortable gun. But if you're starting to get over 6 foot, if you're starting to, one of those people is like 6'4", 6'5" and above, this is gonna be really small for you. Cons are that it's a little weird with darts. It's kind of picky in a way, but if you have waffle heads, that's not really an issue. Make sure you note of where the battery in the motor is so you don't warm up your battery a lot or the motor, and be aware of the wiring situation in the mag well. But now that I think about it, it's really not a huge amount of cons. Like, the quality of it is pretty good. There's just some weird, questionable decisions. Really, the only big major con I can throw out is that no Talon mags, which kind of does suck, but again, you can buy more of these, so I guess that kind of balances that out. Despite all the negative I may have said, I do really like this thing. I love how it looks. The performance is fine. Like, this has become one of my favorite guns. Something about it is just so satisfying to reload in a new mag, dump it out, reload in another one. It's just very rare. Not many people are going to have this until it starts getting mass produced. I don't know if it really will. As for all I know, this may just disappear and then not come back. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. If you're looking at it, it's only 100 bucks. There's no reason not to get it. And that will be in the video information as to where you can buy it. But I'm going to stop talking. I'm sure you just want to see this thing shooting. So let's shoot it.